Mike Geesey or Geese.
Yes,
So
sir.
this is a friend of our friendship. If we were to date it, it goes back to the 70s.
Yes, it does.
Even though I'm 29 and I didn't live in the 70s, but so
Your parents-
you or one of my oldest, like back in the day, our relationship was you're the guy up the street who did all the crazy stuff, but you also owned a guitar. You also got me into music. It was your mom that, or you loaned your Kiss records to my mom when she wouldn't let me listen to it. Do you remember all that?
That is true.
Now do you remember all that?
And actually, if I recall, it was directly across the street. It was 1, 2, 3. You were 4 doors down from me across the street.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of
Cambridge Tribe.
Yeah, Cambridge Tribe. That's definitely
you and Rick Kunkel did all the crazy stuff with
we never jump cars with skateboards.
Yes. You're nuts. And you live to tell about it, which is thankful. We're thankful because but anyway, so my musical history and your musical, I don't know, we're linked in that way, and we're linked in lots of ways, but let's go back to what was it like in York in 1975?
Wow, 75. I was that's wait a minute.
I wasn't alive yet.
1975. Why would you pick that year?
It's the 70s.
77, 75, 76. Hold on. That was the year I got hit by a car.
Was it?
I think it was.
I have no idea.
So the 70s were
old. The 75.
How old were you?
I'm 29.
No, you're not. How old were you back then?
75, it would be 7.
Okay, yeah, I was. I think that was the year I got hit by the car on the Evel Knievel bike. So
yeah,
basically, my music starting then was in a body cast in the living room of my parents' house, and I think the only music I got to listen to was Dad playing Dave Brubeck.
So your dad listened to jazz?
Yeah, my dad was a big Dave Brubeck fan.
That I did not know.
Yeah, and then Rick would turn me on to like Kiss and bring over stuff, and then I think it was a year after that. That's when my cousin Rick and I really started getting into Kiss and Styx and just finding new bands. And I mean, I think that the coolest thing about Rick and I's story was we knew what artists we like, but I remember we'd go down, we'd skateboard down to the record shop, and we'd pick out a record that just looked cool, because that's what it was back in the day. Oh man, who's Kansas? Cool album cover.
Yeah,
that's how we found out a lot of these bands. I mean,
yeah.
And that happened the whole way up to, I'm going to say, to 84.
That's when you
that's how I moved here in 1980.
Okay. All right, so so back in 75, you weren't really listening to music.
Not really. I think it was right after that. I mean, I'd have to talk to Rick. I mean, it was before that, really. I guess the big question was, in 75, was the fort built yet?
No.
Because
didn't your dad build? Did or did not your dad build the fort after you got hit?
I thought it was before I got hit, but I can't remember. I know that fort was a big thing about the music thing, because a bunch of us would literally skateboard down that 1.5-mile hill to the York Mall and hang around Spencer Gifts and get the cassette tape of the new coolest thing. And I remember getting Unchained by
Fair warning.
Van Halen and listening to that the first time in the Ford ever with me and Rick and a couple other, I
Mhm.
think it was like, a couple guys from Dallas town. We were like listening up there, but that was like the music hangout. We had the tape player up there, the cassette player, and we'd like
Mhm.
jam out up there with our, teenage kids, skateboarders. You got your Doritos and your big gulp of like Mountain Dew, and you were cool.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah. Okay. So now your record collection and my record collection, my first records came from your garage sales.
Really, I did not know that.
Progressive Steel. Okay. And as I said, the world needs to know that my parents were not about this rock and roll thing. They were absolutely convinced that it was going to turn me and change me as a person. And it did. They were right. But I don't think it makes me a bad person. I don't know.
Oh, not at all.
So, but anyway, so as I said, the awkward moment is my mom taking out, I don't even know what Kiss album it was, and she played it. And then there's lots of double entendre in their music. And if I didn't understand the double entendre, then I was too young to buy the record. So when Paul Stanley is talking about grabbing on to his rocket, I was literally thinking space travel, and I didn't pass the test.
That was Ace Frehley. That was Rocket Ride. That wasn't Paul Stanley.
No. It was Take Me.
Oh, I forgot about that. Wow, you're more of a Kiss fan than I am. That's all good.
So that was my ground zero. So then it was that, and then it was Progressive Steel. Now the other thing that you did, you were the ahead of everybody else, was you're the guy that had guitar lessons. Only person I know who played guitar. Okay, so you studied with Marcia Engler.
Yes, I did.
And you're the one that got me in with Marcia Engler.
I did not know that.
Yes, because it's like Mike's learning the guitar lessons, and this is who he's studying with. And it's like, well, I want to, and I've told you this 1,000 times, you're the coolest guy in the neighborhood. And that was like, that's what I want to do. And it's like, you had the electric guitar, and my parents, as I said, my parents weren't feeling this rock and roll thing. So they gave me an acoustic guitar, and I could do Buffalo Gals. And
there you go. Yeah, I remember when I got that guitar. I had that paper route forever, and I saved up all the money. And I wanted a Les Paul so bad. And we went down to Ziegler's Music.
Big Z, yeah.
Big Z, and I forget what his name is, but that big chunky guy with the black hair talked my dad out of the Les Paul, and I got the L6S instead.
Okay.
Hated that guitar. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yes, I don't know who that was, to be honest with you.
Oh,
was that on Emmetsville or downtown?
Yeah, it was down. Well, wait a minute. It was when there was one in the York Mall.
Oh, all right.
It was down on the end corner right before the movie theater.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I vividly remember, and no, you don't want that. You want this L6S. It was like the new guitar.
Is that the cheap guitar that Paul Stanley used to smash?
No, it was like a Les Paul, but it had like you could do a couple weird different things with it, like reverse the coils on it and stuff. And I don't know. I was just like, I want my Les Paul.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got that. I had that for
until years later.
Yeah, I had that. I had that forever until I got another guitar at actually Coil Music.
Okay.
I got it from Rob Owen, my mentor.
Okay, so now this takes us. Okay, so you're in York. You got your start in York. Marcia Engler, learning to play. 1980, you moved to Columbus. You abandoned me.
Wow.
But, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. But then at some point, that a really pivotal event in your life is working at Coil Music.
Okay. Definitely.
So the thing that I'm talking about is like, we're talking about music scene. We're talking about how does a healthy music scene happen? What has to be in place in order for that to happen? What kind of attitudes we have to have? One of the things that a successful music scene needs is a place to congregate.
Mhm.
And Coil Music was that one of a couple examples in Columbus for that was that kind of place. So did you ever take lessons there?
I never took lessons there. I mean, I was the guy that was always down at the store, like begging for a job.
Okay.
And I mean, back in the day, I mean, Columbus, a lot of people that live in Columbus, they know that 161 used to be the fast food capital of the world. I mean, every fast food restaurant would start, test market everything on 161.
Mm-hmm.
And on Morris Road, at one point in time, there was Coils down on Arcadia and High, which was like South Clintonville, close to campus. There was String Shop on campus. There was so many music stores in Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, Morris Road was known as the Morris Road Music Mile.
Yeah.
Because there were music stores coming from, Akron Music Center, Marion Music. They were coming to Columbus to, get that music scene, and they wanted part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, when Sam Ash came into town, and Guitar Center, it basically destroyed everything.
All the mom and pop.
All the mom and pops went
Yeah,
goodbye. I think the only reason Sound Ideas is still open down the street is Keith Bellman is a very smart person. He also owns the shopping center, so he's got no overhead.
Okay.
And he's, that's another great person you might want to interview down the road. Keith knows a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
And he's always thinking outside the box. Beside his music store right now, it's the only music store you can go in and buy a PA system, a lighting system, and a 12-foot airplane remote control. He's got an entire remote control shop on the other side of it. But other music stores we had, it was like, I remember when we moved from Arcadia to Graceland. In Graceland Shopping Center, there was 3 music stores in that shopping center. I think it was Vans on the end, and directly across the street there was Chuck Daly's Guitar Center.
Okay. Say that again.
Chuck Daly's Guitar Center.
So it's not the same as Guitar Center.
No, it was just called Chuck Daly's, or Chuck Daly's Music, I should say.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So Chuck Daly's Music. Okay. So Guitar Center comes into town, what, like 85, 80? No.
No, it was later than that.
Yeah.
I know Coils closed their doors in 92. I saw it coming a little bit before then. So I went to work for Keith at Sound Ideas.
Okay.
And that was a completely different monster. That was more of a pro audio lighting DJ company type, store.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, that's the store where I really learned the ins and outs of PA and found my passion for lighting.
Okay. So let's talk more about Coils. So that was a hub of one of many hubs, but that was your hub of where I think a place where people could congregate and they could,
Yeah.
They had lessons there, and
they had lessons set up. I found out when I turned 50 that Rob Owen is the one that got me the job at the store. Him and Dan Cotterman, which were my mentors.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, it was really cool because it wasn't a kind of job where you're like, well, here's what you got to do. Basically, they gave you the number. Mine was 1082, which was my sales number, and it was baptism by fire, baby. Just push right into the wolves, and I learned the hard way. And it's probably the best thing that's ever happened to me because I just fell in love with it, and I literally made more friends working at that music store. I mean, I remember reading an article from Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue that said he got a job in a music store just to get connections.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted that, to get connections, to get everything and get the band created and everything else. And I never did. I just fell in love with like education and teaching people, making sure they got the right gear. And for 11 years of my life.
Well, you took total pride in that.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
I think we all
that's
did.
important. That's an important, and I don't know, maybe I'm biased, but I think of the mom and pop. The more of that happens in the mom
Mhm.
and pop, where you're not wishing to just screw somebody. You're wishing to build relationships, and it's like you're
Um,
wishing to do well to them.
right. I I'll never forget this. I was working at a Sam Ash, and I got told a lot to, push other product, and I didn't. I refused to. If I did not believe in that product, I would not sell it to a customer.
Mhm.
That's the one thing that was great about Coils. I mean, and the thing that was different about Coils is Coils was like an all over music store. We had 7 stores. We had them all over the state. And it started off as, a band instrument store. And then they brought combo and pianos down the road. But it was a cool store. We had some, high end gear, I mean, especially in keyboards and stuff like that. The other music stores focused on like one scene and stuff, and there was nothing wrong with that. I mean, Whitey Lunsar's music, I mean, a lot of the guys that worked at Quills started off at Whitey Lunsar's.
Mhm. What is his store like?
His store, I never was there. It's, yeah, I don't know what year it went out of business, but it was like downtown, and I heard stories about, like during Christmas, bums would walk in the store and you'd be sitting there and they like pee in guitar cases. I mean, it was just like right in the middle of the slum. I mean, I think Merv brought that up. He said, you like walking over homeless people, and and yeah, not a good place in town. I'll put it that way.
Okay. And is that where Merv got his guitar lessons from?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
He mentions that in the interview. That's why I just started thinking about, oh yeah.
That's why I heard of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So the number of people that you have met, and the number of friendships that you have forged just because you worked at Coils. There's so many of these people that we're coming in contact. I'm coming in contact with for the first time, but you've known these people for all your adult life.
Oh yeah. I mean, every person you've interviewed so far, I've been friends with for at least 30 years.
Okay. So that,
and the thing, I'm going to say this, the thing that's great about this project, when we started talking about doing it, Rod, is I'm calling up people I haven't talked to in 20 years. And the greatest part is it's like we never, time stood still.
Yeah.
We just end the conversation. I mean,
yeah.
God, John Durza, me and you have talked to him multiple times.
Yeah.
No, Jim Miller, we're going to see.
I got a text from him at 6:30 in the morning that you need to sleep more.
Yeah.
That's like, you need more sleep, man. No,
there's a lot of us in Columbus.
A lot of great people, but
a lot of people are starting to know you, Rod. You've never even been here yet. But you're going to be soon, though, right?
Yeah.
Next middle of June.
Yes. Well, yeah. Yep. When is Joey coming?
He just said middle of June. I'll tell you when. We'll find out.
Yeah.
We're trying to get a hold of some other interviews for you here, but it's endless, Rod. I mean, I had the passion. I mean, the guy that wouldn't hire me, God bless his soul, not here anymore, but Dennis Aguchi wouldn't hire me. And he just, I guess I was the long haired guy. I don't know really,
This is at Coils?
Yeah. I actually interviewed at Coils 5 times before Rod talked to Dan Cotterman and said, dude, this kid's got passion, hire him.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit pissed off at Rod, even though he's gone, because he didn't tell me that until I turned 50.
Who is that? What?
Rob Owen never told me that he got me hired until I turned 50 years old.
Okay. Well,
I'm like going, well, thanks. You could have told me a little bit sooner, like, when we worked together.
Yeah.
The thing that was cool about Rob is we were always like brothers. We were literally every picture you ever see of Coils, it's me and him within arm distance.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So now one of the things I know about my local scene, and my local scene, back in the day, the music stores that were really the music icons who owned stores were like Bob Campbell Sr.
Yeah.
He knew everybody because he went to see your gig. He would, not my gigs, but he was a bluegrass and country guy, but he knew people knew him as a human being. And I saw the same thing with you. If somebody had a show that they started playing out, you would go see their show.
Oh, definitely. I mean,
That's part of yeah, go ahead.
I'll never forget going to see Gil Graham at his first show. I mean, it was at Tamarack Circle. Matt Jones was doing sound. And it was just, it was really cool. And, every chance I got, somebody came in the store. I mean, every chance I got, I'd go see the bands. I mean, I go down to Apollo's a lot. I go down to campus, check it out. I go to Crazy Mamas, and it's like Jim Nichols said back in the day, a lot of bands played at hotels in the hotel ballrooms. I was at almost all those shows. I used to go see Jim Miller when he played with the Bellows before he switched over. I remember talking to Jim,
who is now who I've what's the name of his band now? Five Iron. I want to say Five Iron Frenzy. That's a ska band.
Lords of the High Iron.
Yeah, Lords of the High Iron. I listen to their stuff.
Oh, they're amazing.
Oh my God. Yeah. He sent me a CD and I was like, oh my God.
Well, that's the other thing.
This is like 20 years ago. He never played guitar.
Yeah, he was a bass player, but I remember he was in the store. He'd always come in and bug me and go, because I gave him a good price on strings. He bought like a Yamaha down the road and stuff, but we were just good friends. He'd come in and I give him 30% off his Roto Sounds, and he lived down the street in 4th Avenue, if I recall. And it was just he'd show up.
He taught at Coils.
Do what?
He taught at Coils.
Yeah, Jim Miller taught at Coils. Brian Shepard taught at Coils. I think I only got Brian his job at Coils. But and I did take lessons off of Brian Shepard for a little bit.
Okay.
I did take lessons off. I only took like a couple lessons off of like multiple guitar players in town. Okay. But it was just I was more the educator guys.
No, your path is your path, and it's like I'm celebrating your path because that's when I say I'm talking about connectors. You're the guy that so many people in so many different walks of life due to what you do. And you're a people person. You're not, yeah. Yeah.
So, hey, Rod, I want to back up a minute.
Okay.
I met a lot. The thing that was great working at the music store is literally everyone that came in, I knew them. And you can ask Rick and you could ask Lisa down the road when we go on vacation. The one thing that ticks those two people off, I have a photographic memory and I can remember everyone. And I'll be out of state. I'll be in York and I'll be talking to somebody and Rick's like, well, you do not know that person. And all of a sudden I do know them. But that's the one thing I'm gifted with. But the other thing I just wanted to share with anyone that worked back in the music stores in the 80s. I don't know if you did this, but I was out every night watching shows. And when we go to the Ohio Center, the big concert hall stuff, I'd always take a stack of business cards about that big. And right when the lights went on, I would run up to the top balcony, no matter where I was in the back of the Ohio Center, and just torque those cards over the entire audience. And they'd flutter down over the audience. Next 3 days later, I'd have at least 25 to 30 new customers come in and talk to me just because of that show.
That's the way we did it back in the day before the internet, folks.
Yep. We did posters and hung them on telephone poles.
Yes.
Handed out flyers one by one.
Yes. Pre-Facebook, pre-Instagram. So yeah, well, I would put business cards in empty guitar cases.
I do that too.
When I first got started teaching, I was in a store that was not supportive of me. I was not in their buddy system. So I had to do my own thing. I put it, you get this, I'll give you 4 free guitar lessons. And that's how I got my start.
Oh, nice.
And it's like, if I couldn't do what I said I was going to do, they wouldn't have gone past the 4th lesson.
Mm-hmm.
but that was my thing back then, and it still is. It's like your rock star moment isn't necessarily playing in Madison Square Garden. The thing that makes you feel like a rock star is that kind of interaction with people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Well, when you worked at the music store, well, when I worked at the music store, the other thing that I learned as this baptism of fire is Neil Andrews was working with me
mhm,
when I first started, and I didn't even know how to play keyboards, but I was like, just the synthesizers are cool.
mhm.
And then all of a sudden, being the kid that wanted to make all the money, looked at Neil and saw the DX7 hit at $1,695.
Mhm.
Your commission was $169. And back in the break room, there was a list of 48 pre-sold keyboards paid for in full. And that's when I started studying synthesizers because of Neil. And then like the ESQ1 came out, and the Mirage, and
I have the plus. I still have the plus. I'm looking at it right here, SQ1 plus.
Really?
It's right here.
Oh, you're the SQ1 plus. Okay. Yeah, that was the one with the pre-builts in it. Yeah. That was a great keyboard.
Yeah, I bought it new.
Yeah. Well, down the road, you're going to be interviewing Doug Nessler from Insonic, so I already have that up for you, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, it was weird. You sold a guitar, you made like $800 guitar, you made like $88. And then it was like, the ESQ1s and the Mirages were being pre-sold, and, it just kept on going. And there for a couple of years, I was popping 1-2 synthesizers a day. So as a, 21-year-old kid, making $139.50 a day, or $270 something dollars in the day, was amazing.
Yeah. So back in 1988, if I worked a 40-hour work week, that would be $300 and $330, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So to your point, one day
was a week,
half of that.
Yeah, it was like, yeah.
One keyboard almost takes half of my work week.
Well, the problem was I didn't know about tax write-offs and stuff, and I'd go out and entertain people and buy them drinks, and rock and roll this, rock and roll that, and didn't know I could write that stuff off. So
yes.
Unfortunately, I was pretty much a dumbass back then, and I pretty much am right now also. So it's all good.
So who did you meet like back then, like major label people? Who were some of those people that you met through your work?
It's just meeting people. I mean, it's the only one I really became slight friends with was Brian and Shepard, and I would always have Greg Howe.
Okay.
We'd always hang with Greg Howe when he came to judge the guitar contests and stuff, which is, I'm going to talk about that down the road too. But yeah, I mean, Greg was real cool. My brain just fried. Drummer for David Lee Roth Band.
Bassinet.
Greg Bassinet. Yeah. Greg used to come in the store all the times, and we'd go down. His dad and him loved Campus, so I'd go down with them and have some beers with them, and we basically didn't even talk music that much. It was just about life and stuff. And to me, that's the coolest thing. When you hang out with an artist and you just, hey, how's the family doing?
You should meet Rudy Sarzo.
Rudy Sarzo did a clinic for us. Yes.
Yeah.
He's back in the day. I mean, this is like 1986. Or was it 86? I know he did a clinic at Coils, but he was a vegetarian back then. So we like get certain food for him, and he like wanted this, and this. Real big health food nut.
Ian Randy were one of a kind.
Mm-hmm.
in in the age of gluttony and rock and roll, neither of them did drugs and ate horribly.
Mm-hmm.
But so your guitar contest, Coils Music had a guitar contest.
Yeah, the first year we like got a hold of a bunch of people. We had we brought Billy Sheehan in, Greg Howell, and I forget the other artists. I'm still trying to find the videotapes. If anyone knows Fred Riker down in Florida, I know Rob Owen gave them to him, and he has my originals all 4 years. I'd love to get those back so we could put them on YouTube. I'm trying to get a hold of some people. Oh, by the way, when you interviewed Grant Kilkey, he was the one that won the first year.
Yes.
And
if you,
Dave
Grant,
Mannering,
if you're watching.
Yeah, Dave Mannering also. Tell Dave that.
Grant, I want to get in touch with, certainly.
Yeah, you also need Grant or Mike Nugent, Frank Harrison Sr. They played 1 year. That's an amazing story. Just listening to the two of those talk about the contest.
How old was Grant when he did it?
Oh, I can't tell you. I know I was younger also.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was at the Alrosa Villa, and that was a packed house.
Okay.
And it was always fun.
So music store is in cahoots. Local music store hub place where people hang out and is in cahoots with the local nightclub.
Yeah, I think Jeff Coyle's the one that came up with the actual concept of the. I think it was May Guitar Month, and he came up with the Central Ohio's Best Guitar Player contest, and I just jumped on board with that. I mean, a lot of people thought it was my baby, but it wasn't. I mean,
But you sold it like it was.
Oh, Jeff Coyle called me the freaking bulldog because I was calling all these dealers. They had like packs of strings and stuff. They had like $120 worth of shit. I'm going, no, this is gonna be a rock concert. I think by the time we got done, man, everyone had a freaking basket full of I think I've got like damn close to $10,000 worth of goods for this show.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, we had judges come in, they judged each tape, and it was supposed to be, certain genres and stuff like that. And then, you could come in the store, you could do your demo. I mean, I must have done 120 demos with people to come in, just plugged them up, recorded them, put some chorus on it, made it sound better, and, just did it. And that lasted for, I want to say 4 years. We ran that hard for 4 years, and I think the last one we did, we ended up trying to do like the world's record for playing Louie and guitar. That's when Fred Riker was, sponsoring it, and I don't know if we got it or not. Jeff Coyle said he got a statue that says we did it, but I'm like going, I don't see it against World Records, but it was a lot of fun, man. We ended up at the Newport. I mean, it grew that big.
Yeah.
And the one thing I want to bring up right now about those guitar contests is there was one kid, 13-year-old kid, and his name was Joe Trishler. And if anybody remembers him, I remember that he played the first year, and then the second year he played on stage. And I remember the PV rep walked up on stage and wanted to give him an endorsement on the spot. And Joe's exact words were, no thanks, I just want to be a normal kid, play guitar and take out the trash. And I think Petrelli, what's his first name?
Al
Petrelli.
Yeah.
He was walking toward the stage with 2 beers in his hands, getting ready to sit down, and looked up and saw Joe. And literally, I've never seen somebody's jaw drop to the floor before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's like those things you see in your life. It just fuses to your mind and you'll never forget.
Al Petrelli played with Alice Cooper. He played with Trans-Siberian.
Yeah, he was one of the judges 1 year.
Yeah.
We had JD Blackfoot as a judge. I mean, we had some really cool people.
Yeah. Yeah. And you never heard from him again?
Not really. I mean, I wasn't one of those guys that wanted, like, I got an autograph when I could. I got a picture when I could. I
No,
never was
no,
one.
I'm talking about the kid.
I wanted to be somebody's friend instead of somebody's fan. I'll put
Yeah,
it that way.
well, of course, and that's why
And
they
I think
appreciated you,
I
I'm
think
sure.
I think a lot of us in the industry feel that way. I mean, um, it's that's just the way I tried to be. I mean, when
Mhm.
it came to people in town, I mean, I made a lot of friends. Just being showing up to the gig and basically, not talking about guitars, talking about dumb stuff like I don't know,
Jokes, magic.
uh, jokes and magic, basically. Yeah, yep, there you go. Little Greg Irwin stuff going on right there. Dun, 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 dun.
This show brought to
There
you
you go.
by,
Little This show brought to you by the Dragon. We'll have to get a hold of Greg here soon too, so it's
yes.
all good.
So, so after you worked at Coils, Coils went out of, you left before they went out of business,
Correct.
and then you went to another music store.
I worked at Sound Ideas.
Okay.
Then after Sound Ideas, I got a job with a company called CLQ, which was the rep firm for Electro Voice, Midas, KT, 27 lines. And I'm the one that got them on board with Chavez. And, I got to see the company Chavez grow. And
Okay.
there's a lot of products out there that I remember writing down on napkins and somebody taking them off the table and they became reality.
Okay.
Love you, Barry Abrams.
So, yeah.
I can confirm those stories in one phone call.
Yeah. Yeah. So then you get that from Jack Geesey though. That
What, just
you're
creating stuff?
that's the way your dad was. He
Yeah, he
thought
was.
like,
Yeah,
if those who don't know, those who don't know Jack Geesey, I'm gonna go back to Cambridge and he had the coolest fort on stilts. What father makes a fort on stilts? Your dad.
yeah. We had the side of the house
And
was
then,
a fenced in area where the dog could go out of the garage and go in that area, and they just Dad didn't like that, so he actually tore down all those boards, and that's what the fort was built of, is that fence and that redwood fence in the side of the yard.
Mhm.
And the only reason that project came to fruition is down the street from around where Tad Eastman used to live, and right across the street from where Beverly Rye lived, there was the old the wood barn back there,
Oh yeah, the
paper mill or whatever it was.
no,
Or,
it's Epstein's.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, they tore that down, and I remember going down there on my Evil Knievel bicycle. Oh yes, the fort was built before I got hit by a car.
Okay.
I drove down there on my little Evil Knievel bicycle, and I went up to one of the guys and said, "Hey, dude, can I get 4 of those 8x10s?" And he just looked at me like, "Yeah, go ahead, take them, kid." Didn't expect my dad to come down later on that night and take about $500 of beams out of because he just looked at us and was like,
Well, that thing burned to the ground too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was some leftover beams, and I said, "Can I have those?" And the guy said, "Yeah." And Dad showed up, and the guy was like, and I was like, "You said I could have them," and he put them in the car, and that's how the fort began.
Okay. Yeah. So that creative mechanical reasoning is what you got from your father.
Yeah. Do you remember how he designed the ladder so it would go up in the air so no one could get in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He thought like a kid.
He was a kid. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when Mike Geesey is sitting in the living room in a body cast after he got hit, I remember your dad getting you a motorcycle.
That is a true story. I was in a body cast, and I'm going to tell everyone this. My dad also created the first remote control, because we had the TV was on the dining room table, and Dad walked in with a dowel rod about that thick with a slit cut in it. And it was a 6 foot long dowel rod, so I could change the channels with my dowel rod.
So it's like a grabber.
Yeah, yeah, but Dad created the first remote control, so I
Yeah.
could go from my 3 channels and my UHF channel. But yeah, I woke up Christmas morning and I looked out the window and my dad was on that Kawasaki 50 motorcycle.
Yeah. Death wish.
Mom wanted to kill him. Yeah.
Yes.
And he
Yeah.
bought that for himself, I found out, not for me.
Yeah.
Because he made that little thing street legal and drove it all around town and let me drive it when I could.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so that mechanical that's good, creative, wacky, loony, mechanical reasoning stuff that like the same kind of intelligence that it would take to create monster, like movie stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's what your dad was about, and that's what I think he passed on to you.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
Yeah. So at EV, you were saying that what are the things that you were talking about? You created, you had ideas that you created these things.
I mostly fell in love with lighting. I mean, I love sound. I loved working for EV. I mean, it is one of the top, sound companies in the world. They invented a lot of things that no other company has ever thought of, and that's why Bosch acquired them to buy the patents. I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but EV created the humbucker pickup.
Okay, I didn't know that.
There's a lot of things that they designed. I mean, and before they moved to Minneapolis, I had the chance and the blessing to actually visit the EV factory when it was up in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing. I mean, they were designing microphones and speakers for NASA and the military. And I mean, when you see a speaker inside of a cement cylinder that's cracked because of noise, it's it's a little terrifying, I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you're simulating tank rolls, with a microphone inside the chamber,
Yeah.
But it was really interesting. Lighting wise, I mean, there were things that, there was a company called Rolls, and it was a David Ostrander Di Francesco. And I came up with this idea. And of course, once again, it was on a napkin. And at first I wasn't happy because I was like, oh, I got one for free and a thank you. And I didn't know I came up with like 3 patent pending ideas. And it was called the GCI 404. And, I love just, the story about this, and I'd never go after them for money, and I never would want to do that. I mean, there's people I still talk to at that factory, but the GCI 404 stands for Geesey's computer interface. And then after I resigned from CLPU and stuff, I found out that it was the interface used in Yale and Harvard music labs and a lot of other music labs across the country. So
that's wonderful.
It's little stuff like that. I mean, most of the stuff, I learned most of this stuff with napkins, and from actually the president of Ensoniq.
Okay.
He used to be,
who was?
Oh God, I forget his name right now. He was the president for Commodore Computers.
Okay.
And oh God, Doug Nessler's going to kill me. Roy Elkins is going to kill me. Roy was the trainer. I can't remember the president's name, but he would always he'd take the guys out to have some drinks, and they'd write ideas on napkins. So when you went in his office, his entire walls were covered with napkins.
Yeah.
Most of the technology for Ensoniq keyboards was written on a napkin when they were drinking. And it was just an amazing factory. And, everyone that worked there was amazing. From the reps down to going to the factory. I mean, Roy Elkins to this day, I think, is one of the best educators in the world.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No doubt. Yeah.
So he was a trainer.
He's still out there. I think that's all he does still.
Okay.
I'll try to get a hold of. I never even thought about getting a hold of him. I'll try to get a hold of him.
Yeah. So what happened after EV?
After EV,
how long did EV last?
I was with EV. I was with CLPU for 10 years. It was I was going through some hard times in my life, to put it that way. Depression. There were some situations that were going on that I found out from people. So I found out I was going to get let go, so I resigned.
Okay.
I'll put it that way. And after that, I tried to create the World's Largest Magic Production Company. Two people talked me into that, and that was another interesting part of my life. I met a lot of people, a lot of nice people, but it didn't work out.
Mhm. Yeah, so magic, let's talk about the magic, because magic and storytelling are two very important elements. That is what makes you. That's kind of like your DNA.
Well,
'Cause
my
I
first,
have, huh?
I don't know if you know this, Rob, but my first magic trick was back in New York.
Okay.
My parents got me the Captain Fantastic pinball machine for Christmas one
I
year,
remember
and
that
the Sears
in the
Magic Kit.
basement.
Yeah, that was another thing. A lot of kids were over at the house playing pinball back then.
Yeah. Yeah. I was once. So
I don't know.
yeah.
I think it's because you're 3 years younger than me, right?
Yeah. My
Yeah, I
brother
think
was my brother was the other, like you were smack dab in the middle of us too, I think.
yeah. I think the only reason for that is because when you're like 20 or older, you can deal with like people from like 50. When you're in elementary school, you're like going, I don't know people from different grades, and it
Yeah.
was just people in the neighborhood you knew. So,
Yeah.
but we're going to Florida. 30
So
plus years later, we're talking every night and hanging out.
yes,
It's all good.
he's gonna teach me how to breathe fire, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
So there's no joylessness here. So so what is going on in the music scene? Let's tell the people about what we're doing with this project here.
Well, I've been wanting to do something forever. I'm gonna go back a little bit.
Mhm.
I've been wanting to write a book about coil music, and multiple people. I'm not going to mention who they are. Some of them are in the house right now. Some of them live in York, Pennsylvania. They know I have dyslexia, and every time I say I want to write a book, there's laughter in the room because I can't even spell right or finish a sentence properly. But yes. So I talked to one of my friends, Mike Anderson, and we were sitting down at a local pub, and I told him what I wanted to do, and he said, "Well, why don't you just start video interviewing people in your life and get your story done like that?" And that's when, about a week later, you popped into the picture, and I said, "Hey, what do you think about doing the history of the Columbus music scene in the 70s and 80s?"
Yeah.
And I started bombarding you with people, and I know you're overwhelmed when I send you so many phone numbers, and and just for you people out there, I am Rod's secretary. Yes, I am. Admit it, Rod.
Well, yes, he is.
So you're
So
going to start.
with that said, yeah. In other words, I guess, yeah. So we're trying to get. This is another aspect of your thing, is you tell the story. This is going way beyond just coils. It's the Columbus music scene in general. My interest is Columbus has a music scene that I am envious of. Because it's like everybody knows each other. It isn't backstabby. All the right things were placed, like all these different ingredients that any one of those wouldn't have been there, and it wouldn't be the scene it is. Like Rick Cotella. So we
That is,
and
yeah.
And like he had another place to congregate, and bands come in, and it's like there's plenty of places to play, and it was yeah. So that is where some of my, but the friendships that I see here, we have that. I guess some of everywhere is that, but I just appreciate it. I just appreciate it. So we're getting the story we're of Columbus and beyond, because
Correct.
Because people that were in Columbus 30 years ago We have them in Florida. We have them in California, Nashville.
Hmm.
So, so that is, I guess, is that it? And then my interest, I have my own particular interest in what you're really good at is telling the tomfoolery. Because you have stories, you got war stories.
No comment.
Plead the fifth.
I'm going to plead the fifth on some of those.
Yeah. Okay.
I like to have people tell the stories through me.
Yes. Yeah. You're not being the mouthpiece. So anyway, Michael, we are done.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
thank you.
we'll do a part two down. We'll do a part two down in Florida. And for those
Yep.
who don't know what's going on, we're going to start be doing something about the like a Mount Rushmore type thing. We didn't
Wait
get
a
into
second.
that.
Mount Rushmore, your Mount Rushmore, top albums of the 1970s. What are they?
Growing up, I would say, well, it started off with like, here, hold on. I'm going to go in order of appreciation over the years. It was definitely Kiss. Start off, Kiss was definitely one of the main influence. I would probably say the Destroyer album or Love Gun. I mean, Love Gun was the first one I bought before, that was the one that Rick and I waited at the music store going, oh my God, we know who Kiss is. The new album's coming out. And then Rush 2112. Wow. Blew my mind. And then after that, I would honestly say, over the years, the first Montrose album and Sweet Desolation Boulevard, those two albums right there, every song was a hit. 2112 was like nothing ever done before. And Destroyer was just, that album from Kiss that, I wasn't there when
level.
it came out, but it was an influence that, and then, you started listening to like, Alive and stuff, which just blew my mind. But yeah, I mean, if it goes band wise, I would definitely say, Kiss,
Rush, Kiss,
and Sweet.
I only, in the last 6 months, rediscovered Sweet.
Oh my God, every song in Desolation Boulevard was amazing.
Agreed. That particularly, I was shoveling snow to Desolation Boulevard. So it's like, I know what everybody else knows. I know Fox on the Run. I know, I knew.
Hey, hold on. You honestly thought Shock or Sweet Savage did Fox on the Run?
That is true. So
don't lie to me. I heard.
I'm not lying to you. No, I know. I knew a year ago that Sweet did Fox One, and I probably knew I did know back in the 80s. But they introduced me to the song.
Yeah.
They introduced me to, so if Joey's listening.
Okay. Well, Rod, you said we got to go. I will tell you this, when you come into town, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to meet you.
That's all right. I'm a people person.
I think so.
Yeah, I look forward. I seriously do. Do. So thank you. This is wonderful. Your story, part of your story is told.
Okay, there you go.
Alrighty, and thank you so much.
Enjoy the day, my friend.
Alrighty, I will see you then.